Before we get into Raw tonight, we're going to quickly discuss something that I've been saying for quite a while. I said I wasn't going to review Raw on this channel anymore last year. I said I wasn't going to review Raw anymore on this channel this year. But I do have to point out something that has been blatant for a while, but they really solidified it last night on Raw. Raw is nothing compared to SmackDown. We know this. Raw is nothing compared to NXT. We know this. But Raw is scared of NXT, to the point now where they are taking blatant shots and really trying to make NXT look like it's not as good as it is. Let's look at the first example. At TakeOver Toronto, which I was at, they had the tag team match with Buddy up there in the shark cage. They introduced the shark cage, the structure, you know, they're going to sell the toy, whatever the case may be. It's a little bit of a goofy gimmick, but it worked because the guys in the match took it seriously, and it created a little bit of a different element. They used the structure well in the context. So they said, oh, look, there's something that kind of worked on NXT. Let's do it on Raw. Let's make it a comedy bit with Owens and Jericho's weird overacting, and he's afraid of heights and rah. We'll make it look goofy. We'll take the shine off of it. So we'll take the shine off of something that was done reasonably well in NXT. Then you've got the idea of a women's Iron Man match. The first women's Iron Man match in WWE took place at NXT TakeOver Respect. I think somebody can correct me down in the box below if I'm wrong, but it was Bayley, it was Sasha Banks. They were able to go out there with no restraints, no constrictions, no handcuffs, etc., and have a pretty damn fucking good match. Now, am I going to say, like, oh my god, best match ever, best match of the year? Am I going to give it the treatment that people in Japan are giving the Okada-Omega match? No, it was a really good fucking match, and it was a historical point. So what did they do on Raw? They kept Charlotte and Sasha together forever, put them in an Iron Man match, because that's the combination that worked on NXT, except, oh wait, it's not, and then proceeded to act like it was the first one, pretending that the Iron Man match on NXT didn't exist. And then you come to last night on Raw, where in a really low blow, you've got the New Day, who are goofballs at the best of times, and Titus O'Neil, who we all know shouldn't have a job, as an excuse to pull up footage from the old NXT, from when we all hated NXT, when it was the friggin' game show thing before Triple H created the brand and the empire that NXT is now. It's like, okay, no. That's all awesome. We're going to remind you of this weird fucking gimmick with the running with the keg. I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't actually supposed to happen and Titus O'Neil botched again. Oh yes, so WWE, what you're telling me is your flagship show is scared of your developmental system. That is fucking sad. Now, what else does Raw bring to the table? The only important things that happened on Raw recently. Goldberg, who's old. Really old, who on his debut couldn't, when he came back to cut his re-debut promo, couldn't lift up his own son. When he tried to throw a couple of punches at Rusev, he fell on his own ass. And he's never there. Let's be real. You got Lesnar, who, yes, is a beast and a spectacle, and if Lesnar's on TV, you're going to watch. He took out The Undertaker, he took out John Cena, and we all loved it at the time. And he's a beast, and he's friggin' totally indestructible until he gave away all of that aura to the old man, and he's never there. You got The Undertaker, who made his announcement for the Royal Rumble on Raw, because Raw is so fucking desperate to get something worth watching on their television screen that they forewent all the logic with Undertaker's "I'm the Undertaker, nobody tells me what to do" bullshit, and borrowed Undertaker from SmackDown. Oh yes. And then there's Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, who went an hour plus with Bret Hart back in the day. Shawn Michaels, who helped The Undertaker introduce the Hell in the Cell concept. Shawn Michaels, who started the main event championship reign of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Shawn Michaels, who retired the great Ric Flair. Shawn Michaels, one of the best in WWE history, and deservingly Mr. WrestleMania. Is he there on Raw for a match? No. Is he there to reunite with Triple H for some DX shenanigans? I could have dealt with that. No. Is he there to make an announcement about the Royal Rumble? You know, he's going to be the host of the Royal Rumble, much like Rock was the host of WrestleMania 27. I definitely could have lived with that. It's in San Antonio, it's in his hometown, and he's a legend. He would deserve a moniker like that. No, he's there to cut promos about how old he is, to plug some Bible-thumping movie, to make dick jokes with Enzo and Cass, and to dab with TJ Perkins, while all of our collective childhoods lay beaten, broken, and bleeding on the floor. And you wonder why I only review SmackDown. Let's talk about SmackDown. Well, now that I've got that out of my system, what's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here with your January 10th, 2017 SmackDown Live review. Leading up into the Royal Rumble, it is getting exciting for the brand that's not giving you 50-year-old men. Starts off with Dean Ambrose hosting the Ambrose Asylum. He welcomes everybody to the show. He brags about winning the Intercontinental Championship, brags about the fact that he's going to be the first champion from SmackDown to enter the Royal Rumble, which is fine. He said he wanted to have a live alligator for the show tonight to make it special, but there weren't enough permits, and he got a plastic gator head, and he named it Maurice. And I've even got a guest tonight, and before he can announce the guest, The Miz comes out, and he says, each day that you carry the Intercontinental Championship, you're tainting it. You're ruining my hard work. Every day you hold the title that you stole from me. Roddy Raw announces that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble match and says that Dean Ambrose is also tainting the Royal Rumble. Last week, you stole my title. He talks about the ref call and talks about Dean Ambrose pressuring the ref and all that sort of thing. He says, we can go through legal means like Charlotte and all the shit that happened on Raw, or here's your chance to give the title back to me tonight and do the right thing. Ambrose pulls out a felt bag and he gives Miz a participation award, which is fucking great. Miz gets a little more serious, smacks him in the face with the picture frame, and continues to give him a little bit of a beatdown. Maurice goes to slap Dean Ambrose, hits the Miz instead. Dirty deeds by Ambrose, and Dean kind of thanks Maurice sarcastically and gives her the participation award and leaves just as cocky as he came in. This is fucking great. I said it last week and I'll say it again here. Dean Ambrose versus The Miz was not a feud I was looking very much forward to. They didn't have Renee Young involved in this tonight, but I will say it's kind of interesting. Renee Young, aka Renee Paquette, from Toronto, which is about 30 minutes from me, so sort of hometown girl type thing, in the opening SmackDown package, which is kind of nice. I made a joke on Twitter, you know, they grow up so fast, ha ha ha. Whatever the case may be, but they've added an element to this with the Renee Young and obviously Maurice, who's always with The Miz, that I wasn't expecting, and it's kind of like, okay, they're doing something a little different. I wonder what that different thing is going to be. These guys are obviously going to fight again, probably at the Rumble, and that's okay. If they fight at the Rumble and then fight in the Rumble, that's cool too. They'll probably eliminate each other and keep feuding on the way to Mania, and that wouldn't break my heart at all. We see a video on Nikki and Natty and the kind of cringy promos that they did last week on each other, you know, attacking the Hart family, telling Nikki Bella that she's going to die alone as soon as she gets old and ugly, which is fine. Natty jumps Nikki in the back because they're supposed to have a match. They don't really have a match. Natty comes out. Nikki obviously comes out with a bit of a delay because she's limping. She's selling her leg. She sells better than her boyfriend. I'm just putting that one out there right now. Match starts, or not even a match, just sort of a brawl. Starts off with a spear and some mounted punches by Natty, by Nikki, and they brawl to the outside. Boot by Natty and more mounted punches. The ref pull apart fails, as they usually do. Here's the thing: these are the same referees that pull apart Mark Henry and Big Show and Undertaker and big gigantic superstars, like obviously a lot more referees, but these are the same referees that are there to pull guys like that apart, and you can't pull apart these two women that, I mean, okay, maybe Natty's not this big around, but Nikki is definitely this big around. So that's kind of funny. It makes me laugh at the refs, and that doesn't hurt anybody. Chop block by Natty, who immediately starts working over the leg and locks her in a sharpshooter. I was about to say figure four. I don't know why. in a sharpshooter on the outside on the grating, which it's another one of those situations. It's like when you do a submission move on the table. It's like you're hurting the legs. I don't know what the surface has to do with the submission move, but she put it on at a really awkward angle, and it looks like she botched it. She might have botched it, but the botch of it made it look more painful, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that it's okay that she botched, but the fact that she botched it made it look a little more real, and I don't necessarily mind that. These guys are gonna feud. There's no title involved here, so I can see this being a pre-show match, kickoff match for the Royal Rumble. It would be alright. I mean, the Royal Rumble's rumored to be 4 hours long this year. It's getting the WrestleMania treatment like Survivor Series and SummerSlam do. So, maybe they will have two women. Well, come to think of it, now you have two women's champions. You got Bayley versus... Fuck, I can't even think. She's that irrelevant. Bayley versus Charlotte over on Raw, and you got what we're going to talk about later on, which I'm sure is going to go towards Royal Rumble as well. And then you got this feud, Raw. Hey Raw, you 3-hour show. See, you can have more than one women's feud in your division. Just saying. We see a video repack of last week, Dolph attacking Kalisto after he tried to help him from Baron Corbin with the chair, etc., and him attacking Apollo Crews with that wicked headbutt in the backstage area last week, which was really, really nice. Kalisto versus Ziggler, because Kalisto demanded a match with Ziggler. One of the girls in the back, I know there's Charlie Caruso and there's some other chick, and they kind of look similar, so I don't want to call out anybody's name because I could be wrong. Tries to get a word with Dolph Ziggler, and they just pause awkwardly on Ziggler not saying anything, trying to look intense and whatever, and we're building the heel turn that started last week. Ziggler versus Kalisto makes me laugh immediately, because as they're making their entrance, the only thing I see on the hard camera is a Make SmackDown Live Glorious sign, which is absolutely great. Which brings me to another point. We get all these rumors about, you know, who's coming back, who's returning at the Rumble, who's coming up from NXT for the Rumble, and where are they going to end up. Is there any wrestler that you like right now in the indies, coming back to WWE, in NXT, etc., that you think is going to get anything good from going to Raw? Just everybody on SmackDown. Everybody. Just don't put anybody on Raw unless you're really mad at them. Send Naomi over to Raw, because that just fits. But anyways, Kalisto starts with a series of kicks and a Hurricane Rana, a trip by Ziggler, and some chain wrestling to follow. Kitchen sink and a neckbreaker by Ziggler, followed by an armbar, neckbreaker, and a back elbow by Ziggler. Pendulum kick by Kalisto, hangman by Ziggler. Ziggler locks on an abdominal stretch, but it's not an abdominal stretch as you would typically see it. They're both on the ground. He's got his head, one leg, and one arm all locked in an abdominal stretch that almost becomes a bow and arrow type maneuver. You guys know I suck at explaining things. Jawbreaker by Kalisto, boot by Ziggler, dropkick by Ziggler, and a fluke roll-up by Kalisto gets the win. And Kalisto gets the living shit kicked out of him by Dolph Ziggler with a steel chair, as does Apollo Crews, who comes down to help. Which is just great, because Apollo Crews ain't a small guy. I mean, he's short, but he's not a small guy. You figure he could push Ziggler around, but he doesn't. He gets owned by Ziggler, who's, you know, ramping up the intensity as a heel and rah. I will say, all kidding aside, get Kalisto out of the equation. Ziggler Crews going forward, possibly to the Royal Rumble, possibly in the Royal Rumble, is a feud that I'm predicting will be pretty damn great. Generic babyface promo from the American Alpha in the back, because they're going to face the Wyatts in the Wyatt's title rematch tonight. Generic John Cena, I'm a babyface, but I'm trying to be a badass, and somewhat succeeding promo about his match coming up later tonight with Baron Corbin, and the Wyatts do their Wyatt thing. The devil's knocking on your door, knock, 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 etc. American Alpha versus the Wyatt family, and the Wyatt family this week being represented by Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Now, this is where people call me a hypocrite. This is where people call me a hypocrite on Twitter, because I didn't like New Day on Raw using the Freebird rule, and I don't mind the Wyatts on SmackDown using the Freebird rule. Oh, you're just saying it's good because it's on SmackDown. No, it makes fucking sense. The baby faces in any story should get the sympathy. They should not have the numbers advantage. The Wyatts are heels and evil and creepy and sorry, in that same realm with The Undertaker. I kind of feel like shit right now, so if I sound bad, I'm apologizing a little late in the game. But it made no sense to have your babyface team outnumbering the heels, cheating to beat the heels, and still being the babyfaces. Yes, I know. Eddie Guerrero did it, Ric Flair did it. And I'm sorry, all due respect to their given talents, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Biggie Langston are not Ric Flair or Eddie Guerrero by any stretch of the imagination. So it doesn't make sense that the babyfaces would have where was I going with that? Lost my train of thought. Once again, that's what happens when you do a video when you're feeling like shit. It does not make sense for the babyfaces that are trying to gain sympathy to have a numbers advantage. Like when they would have the third member sent to the back and it would be even, and the commentators would try to play it up like it was something unfair. It works with the Wyatts because they're an evil, menacing heel team and they have the numbers advantage. American Alpha, who are the pure Snow White babyfaces, get the sympathy. It works. Much like all the other stuff on SmackDown, it makes a lot more sense because it's logical. Oh yes. But yes, this week, it's the Wyatt family being represented by Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Uppercuts and headbutts by Wyatt, dropkick by Jordan, corner spears by Jordan, and a belly-to-back suplex. Mudhole by Orton, who rides a headlock for a long time, because that's what Randy Orton does. Takedown and a waistlock by Gable, uppercut by Orton. Wyatt rakes the eyes, and a top rope armbar by Gable. Over the rope is always good. That hanging cross arm breaker that Alberto Del Rio used to do. It's a really good move. And Jordan's a bigger dude, too, so him doing it is just... It's just really, you can just imagine your arm hanging right off there. It's really, really good. Orton back suplexes on the rail top to Gable, and then he brings him back into the ring for the Orton stomp, which is another great thing. You got Orton, who does all these great technical things, and then his immediate next offense is just to lay you out and stomp on you. Every part of you. Your leg, your arm, your head, your joints, your hands. It's the contrast of it is so great. Black Hole Gutbuster by Bray Wyatt looked legitimately painful, who rides a headlock for a long time. Slingshot vertical suplex by Orton, followed by more of the Orton stomp. Jawbreaker by Gable. Hot tag to Jordan, who gets the clotheslines and the suplexes and the corner spears for everybody. Orton hangs Jordan gut first on the ropes as we go to our first commercial break. Orton rides a headlock as we come back from the commercial break, choking in the ropes. Corner lariat by Wyatt, running senton. Clotheslines by Jordan, top rope crossbody by Gable. Deadlift suplex by Gable, which is just... He's the smallest guy in the ring, and he's the one... It's like when Neville does it, although I don't want to give Neville credit because he's on Raw, but he's also on 205 Live, so that's okay. When he does the deadlift into the vertical suplex, when Gable does it, it's very, very similar. Distraction by Harper allows Orton to set up for the suspension DDT, but when he swings him up for the suspension DDT, he actually ends up hitting Harper. Orton and Harper argue. Quick roll-up by Gable, get the successful title defense for American Alpha. The Wyatts go at each other. Orton and Harper, they just, they're going at each other. They want to fight. Wyatt is doing his goddamn best to get away from between the two, but they're both talking shit. Harper goes to throw a super kick to Orton, but Bray Wyatt eats it in the face. And then he kind of goes like crazy calm, quiet, and gets in both of their faces and they go off. So you got to believe that in the Wyatt family there's hell to pay when they get to the back. That sort of thing. Leading up to, I'm assuming, will be one more match at the Royal Rumble where the group actually falls apart and we get Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Early prediction, I know, but that would be the great way to do it. I would love it, though, if they threw us a curveball and Luke Harper turned on the Wyatt family and Orton and Wyatt remained a team, because I don't know what they would do from there. Would they do Orton versus Harper? Would they do Wyatt versus Harper, which would be just as good, I think? Give Orton something else to do. I know Orton has talked about clashing up with AJ Styles if AJ Styles is not in the title scenario. So there's a lot of different mixtures and combinations that could come out of this, and it's all good. And on top of all that, American Alpha get the victory over Bray Wyatt, who's Bray Wyatt and awesome, and you got Randy Orton, who's got a resume about this long, which does nothing but make them look good. We see a weird Baron Corbin promo package, like video, like quick cut type of thing. Unfortunately, it looked too much like the Wyatt jump scare, and we just saw the Wyatts finish a match, so it wasn't very effective. But, you got his message across. I'm the lone wolf and I'm hunting John Cena tonight. Roddy, rah. Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch are both arguing with Daniel Bryan over the La Luchadora situation, and the fact that La Luchadora, when unmasked, was in fact Alexa Bliss, so Becky Lynch has pinned the champion. She deserves another title shot. Daniel Bryan says, yeah, not only are you getting another title shot, you're getting it next week on SmackDown, and so that there's no more interference, we are going to have, for the first time ever on SmackDown, a women's steel cage match. Now, let me tell you something, alright? When they got together at TLC, I wanted a TLC match. I got 1/3 of what I wanted. They had a tables match. It was great. They made the best of it for what they could. They should have gotten the opportunity for Hell in the Cell. Because Charlotte and Sasha, I like Charlotte and Sasha. Their matches are great. Didn't need to be in Hell in the Cell. And this match next week, I don't care. Call me a troll, call me a smart, call me whatever the fuck you want. This match is going to put Sasha and Charlotte to shame next week. This will be the main event. And if it's not the actual main event next week, I will be really, really surprised. I do like SmackDown, but there's always going to be a little bit of shit. Usually it comes in the form of Naomi. We didn't have Naomi this week, thank God. But we got more of the Ellsworth-Carmella shit. That's not what I want to touch on. Ellsworth is, you know, sort of playing the lost little puppy dog to Carmella, which is fine, and it's not exactly original, but Carmella, in the process, is going to be taking on jobbers. So it doesn't make Carmella look very good that she needs help from a dude to beat jobber females. I mean, last week she was facing Aaliyah from NXT, who is great and should be on SmackDown, realistically speaking. But this week, the woman that she was facing, I don't want to be mean, I don't want to be crass. JD from New York on Twitter, who I follow and whose videos I watch, and you guys should check him out too because he's a funny guy. I think he said it best. This woman looked like one of the sweat hogs that would have rolled into Al Bundy's shoe store. And not only that, she couldn't wrestle. Imagine like the worst possible celebrity involvement in a match that they've ever done, but worse, and just worse. Apparently this girl is some chick from the indies, but oh my god, the commentators were ruthless about her, Twitter was ruthless about her, and it was just bad. Like, this segment was bad. Thankfully, it was short. It was followed up by, obviously, Ellsworth helped her get the win, because Ellsworth, as it was also pointed out on Twitter, Ellsworth is the only man in the WWE that's allowed to put his hands on women, because he's barely a man. But anyways, in the back, we see a little bit of a comedy segment where Carmella tells Ellsworth that she's going to give him a makeover next week. She's going to take him clothes shopping, etc., etc. That's fine. It's excuse me. It's bullshit, but it's relatively harmless, and it took up like 5 minutes, so I really, really don't care. In the back, AJ Styles gives a condescending pep talk to Baron Corbin and lets him know that he will be on commentary for Baron Corbin's match up next against John Cena. This match with John Cena and Baron Corbin was not... They didn't treat it with as much aplomb as I thought they would. I know they're strapping the rocket to Baron Corbin, and John Cena's just come back, and I think it'll be his first match since he's been back, but they didn't spend very long on it, and most of it was AJ Styles on commentary talking about how, you know, Baron Corbin's great, and I don't know why he has a problem with me. I think he's great. I'm here to cheer for him because he's facing John Cena, and I don't like John Cena. But it wasn't like... I expected more from the match. It wasn't bad, but I expected a lot more. Jabs by Cena, boot by Corbin in a kitchen sink, hard Irish whip by Corbin, who tosses Cena out of the ring. Test of strengths. Corbin viciously blocks an AA. Trade punches on the outside. Corbin does the, I don't know, again, sorry guys, I don't know what he's calling it, but where he lays the guy out with his head on the top of the guardrail and just beats down on his head into the guardrail. I don't know what it's called. It's effective, it looks good, and for a bigger, meaner guy, it makes a lot of sense. Cena dumps Corbin out of the ring once they get back in the ring, and Corbin eats steps. Power slam by Corbin when they get back in the ring, and they trade some more punches. Deep six by Corbin, who, which for some reason, AJ Styles on commentary keeps trying to convince us that it wasn't a deep six, that it's just a slam. I don't know why. Deep six followed by a one-punch knockdown, bear hug by Corbin, boot, and a tornado DDT by Cena that wasn't horrible, but wasn't great either. And then the 5 moves of doom, side slam, 5-knuckle shuffle, attitude adjustment. Cena gets the win. They stare down with Cena and AJ Styles, and Corbin really kind of fades into the background, which is kind of unfortunate. I know. if Cena doesn't get the title sometime between now and WrestleMania, I'm pretty sure they'll throw him in a program with Baron Corbin, and this will go longer than tonight. But I really wanted more out of this match tonight. It turned out that the Tag Team Championship match, by far, was the match of the night. But we set up for that cage match next week. We got a couple more names into the Royal Rumble that I actually care about that aren't 50, which is great. It continues to put Monday Night Raw to complete shame, and we will continue to do so tomorrow when I talk about NXT. But until then, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.
You're a freak like me.